All right, greetings to the entire world from South Georgia, USA. You're here on the 28th day of April 2025. We just got back from the forest, from the woods, where we noticed a couple of days ago a group of little persimmon seedlings about that tall, several hundred of them in one place in a pasture near a persimmon tree. But they were about this tall. In fact, this is one of them right here. Well, I planted some persimmon seeds last year in the field, in the garden, and they're only about this big. So I couldn't figure out how did these persimmon seedlings get so big so fast if they were just started from seed last fall. I couldn't figure it out. Well, I decided to dig a couple of them up and move them to pots. And so I dug them up with a shovel. I didn't dig them very deep, but let me show you what I found out. If it was a seedling, it would have just one little taproot. But look at this. Now this is where I put the shovel in the ground and cut it off, but this root probably went out that far. And here's another one out. This is a genuine taproot. Persimmons have an extremely strong taproot. They dig down deep into the soil vigorously. So the mystery of it is this. This tree might be 10 years old. It might be 5 years old. And the seed got buried there in the ground near the persimmon, the female persimmon tree. And the seedling came up along with about 100 or 200 other ones near that tree. And the deer come along when they find them about this big, maybe this big, and they eat them off. It doesn't kill the tree though, because this little joker here, in fact, I can see where this one was cut off at. Let me show you this. You see that right there? That flat spot, that brown and that flat? That's where the deer bit it off at, right there. And then it came up, though, right next to it to survive. And the deer will come along again, but the problem is the hurricane came and basically the deer were completely unable to forage and get around in there, and so they didn't find these little persimmon trees. And here they are. Now there's another one right there. And that one has been, let's go over there and look at that one. This is how I realized that these trees are many years old. All right, I'm gonna bend this back. Look at that. There's where it was bit off right there. Bitten off there, there, and there. And here. This one here's been foraged on recently. Same thing, when I dug it up, I couldn't believe how big the taproot was. So I'm putting them in these pots as an experiment. Just to see how they grow in pots. I have no idea how they will grow in pots. Well, I'll put this in here after I get it planted. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. See, this thing here is this root is as wide as the pot. All right, I got to get some soil in here. This is an extremely persistent tree. I'll bring it up just a little bit. It means to live and keep producing wood and that wonderful fruit. I'll tell you about the persimmon fruit, the native persimmon. You can't even, if you eat it before it's dead ripe, you will be sorry. It twists your mouth up. Sir Walter Raleigh, when he came to America in the early days, tasted the fruit before it had gotten ripe. And he wrote in his journal that it will make your mouth go awry. But when it's ripe, when it's soft, it is a wonderful, delicious tasting fruit. All of the wildlife adore it. Deer especially. And the deer hunters down here in Georgia and all over the South and probably in the Midwest as well, anywhere where there are persimmon trees, know that to put your stand in a persimmon tree or near a persimmon tree, you are going to see the deer. You're going to see the possums also. I saw a fox one time. It's hard to believe. Right back there. I was in my ladder stand near a persimmon tree. Small persimmon tree, about that big, but it was pretty tall. And I knew the deer were coming there. And I'm sitting there with my bow in my hand. And a fox runs across the ground and climbs the persimmon tree. Did you know a fox could climb a tree? I couldn't believe it. The fox got a running start and climbed the persimmon tree to get persimmons. I had no idea a fox could do that, but I saw it with my own eyes. So that's just a little story about the persimmons. Another thing about persimmons, the oriental persimmons are larger, but they're persimmons, and they do not cross with the American persimmons, but you can use the American persimmon rootstock to graft the oriental persimmons onto. Another interesting fact about the oriental persimmons, do not fall off the tree. They hang on the tree. So you have to go and pick them. Even when they're dead ripe and begin to rot, they will not fall off the tree. That's why sometimes people will plant an oriental persimmon in their woods thinking that it will be a place to hunt deer. But the only way a deer is going to get oriental persimmon is if it's where he can reach it, because they don't drop onto the ground. There is one variety of oriental persimmon that I know of called Fuyu, Fuyu. And the Fuyu persimmon, it's as big as a large apple, but it does not cause your mouth to go awry, as Sir Walter Raleigh put it. It is not astringent in your mouth. Somebody thousands of years ago in the Orient, roaming the forest, found that tree and tasted it and said, hey, this is different. It doesn't make your mouth go awry. And very likely went and found somebody in their village that knew about trees, took him out there and showed him, and they immediately got cuttings from that tree and started propagating those because they saw the potential. And now, most of the time when you find a Japanese or Chinese persimmon in the grocery store, it will be the fuyu, because you can eat it even if it's not dead ripe. I'm in the process right now of grafting 4 different new varieties of Oriental persimmon onto my Georgia rootstock that I have right there in the garden. In fact, I'm going to show them to you. Let's pause. Now this tree here, look at the trunk. This is a native Georgia persimmon. It's way up there. This is a female. It produces fruit. I'll show you the fruit on it. It's already forming. Here's one right here. Here we can see it. There we go.
Okay, I got it.
Now whether those make it, I don't know, but I think some of them fall off. But we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Now next to it is an Oriental persimmon. This is a fuyu. Look at those beautiful leaves. Look at the difference between the American persimmon leaves and the Georgia native persimmons. Now the Oriental persimmon already has a fruit. You see there? There she is right there. Now when I pull that little brown thing off, here it is right here. The fruit was under it. I bet you if I do that here, the same thing will happen. Let's see if I'll find a fruit underneath. The little brown thing. I got to get my glasses. Excuse me while I get my glasses. I can't see what's under there. Yes. I pulled the little brown thing off and you can see the green fruit forming under there. I'll bend it back. See the little ball?
Mm-hmm.
So they both have the habit. They look very similar when they make their fruit. Now you see this one here, well, I grafted onto, see I planted a row, let me show you. I planted a row of persimmon seeds right here, this row, all the way down through there. I put the seeds in the ground from the trees in my woods. And when they got up a pretty good size, I grafted on to some of them the Oriental persimmon. I did not graft an Oriental persimmon onto this one. So it has grown into a tree. But now, next to it, let me get over here. Next to the, now this is you see that circle right there and that swelling spot right there? See how it swells? Can you see that, Debbie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that, it looks like you wrapped something around it. That's where I grafted the fuyu. This from here down is the Georgia native, and from here up is the Oriental. This also tends to grow into a more bushy tree. Now this one right here, I don't know what it is. I don't see a tag on it. As I remember, this one, by the way it's growing, it looks like a Georgia
Yeah.
I know what that is. That's a male tree. See the flowers? See the bees on the flowers? Look at the bee on the flowers. They're going to it right now. You hear them? Can you see the yellowish flowers?
I can't see it.
Right there. You can't see them? All right. Just pause a minute. There are the yellow male flowers. And we just saw bees swarming on those flowers. So we've got a female persimmon tree, and right next to it a male, and we can tell by the flowers. The males do not have fruit. All right, now here's one of my Georgia native trees, and here's one next to it, one next to it. These are one next to that. These are some I have grown. They've been here for years, but I grafted onto this one this year. In fact, about a week ago. An oriental persimmon called Tamopan A. And you can see that I grafted on there, I grafted on there, and I grafted on there. And the grafts are only about a week old. Now over here I'll show you the same kind of Tamopan. I did it a different way. This is another native Georgia persimmon, and these are the two scions that I put on. This one I did a cleft graft, and these I did a cleft graft also. I also tried one right here. We will see very shortly if these are going to take. In fact, it appears that this one is already breaking through. Can you see that, Debbie?
Yeah.
Can you see that? Can you zero in on that?
Oh, yeah.
You see the bud coming through? Now see, I used parafilm on these, and I completely wrapped it around the bud, and this bud now has been kept, this wood has been kept in the refrigerator all winter. But now that it's gotten outdoors, it has popped out. And I would say in 2 or 3 days, we'll start seeing a green bud come there. Whether or not they will survive, I did a good number of them. If I just have one survive, I'll be happy, and then I can get other scion wood from them. But these are supposedly very superior oriental persimmon varieties. So I guess that's my little tutorial on the persimmon, what's going on in the persimmon trees. I'll show you another Georgia native right here that I'm not sure what to do with, and that's it right there. That's a pecan. And some little squirrel took this pecan from one of those wild pecan trees over there and buried it right here. And now one thing about pecans is that they have a very deep taproot, very much like the persimmon. I have taken persimmons like this right here, even bigger than this, and wrapped a strap around it, and with a front end loader pulled it out of the ground. I would wait until it was wet, wintertime, where it would pull out easily, and transplanted them into the ground, and they grew quite nicely. It's just amazing that you can take a strap. I'm talking about one of those wide towing straps. In fact, I've even used chain on them before, and I would hook it up kind of high because I intended to cut it off, and pull these jokers out of the ground. and still have them live when I transplanted them. All right, that's the story of the persimmons that we dug up in the field, and we thought that they were seedlings from this year and found out that they were not. I'm going to show you one other thing here that I'm seeing. Now this is, we're in the row there, and we've got 2 persimmon trees coming up right there. You see them? By the greenhouse. Let's see how far they are. 1, 2, 3. All right, we got one 10 feet away and one 12 feet away. And there's some small ones right there. Now you talk about a taproot that I told you. These Oriental persimmons don't have, of course that might be an American persimmon. Honestly, that might be an American persimmon because some of these do have seeds. So I don't know what it is, American or Oriental. It resembles the American persimmon, the leaf does. So I can probably take that one and dig it up and move it. I was thinking that it was a root stock, that it came off of one of these trees under the ground, and I'm not sure whether it is or not. The question is, did that come from seed, or did that come from a root of one of these American persimmon trees running up under the ground? I'm guessing it came from the root. I have a feeling that this tree, one of these trees right here, ran out that very long taproot, and after they get a good ways away, they come up. And they're very vigorous. So that's another way that God had of ensuring that this wonderful tree survived. Now I could wait 2 or 3 years and then graft onto this. It's pretty small to graft onto now. You could do it. I could graft an Oriental onto it. The thing about the American persimmon is that you've only got a 50-50 chance to get one that'll have fruit, because the males don't have fruit. All right, that is all I've got to say about persimmons today, and I thank you for watching. Stay tuned, and we'll let you know what's going on with the grafting and the seed starting and all of the trees and figs that we're growing and mulberry trees. We're not going to waste this pecan tree right here. We're gonna graft a known variety onto here, because now this could end up making beautiful pecans, but many of the ones that come up from seed will make the little bitty wild kind, and then they're not really super duper for eating. But we've got some over there, Elliott and Cape Fear and Stewart, in pots, and we're planting them, and in a year or two we'll graft them onto this tree here, and we'll know what variety we have. All right, let's just look out there at this beautiful sky and just look at that. That's where the water comes from. That right there is the water department. It makes me want to say the Lord's Prayer right now. And I wish you would say it with us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.